You are now listening to a 302 Birds podcast experience, proudly powered by Tick Pick, Cutbet, El Diablo Burritos, Nick's Pizza, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street.
Sometimes, my friends, all you need is just a little bit of hope. And that's what I think our Philadelphia Eagles are going to need this week. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 302 Birds, Season 5, Episode 22. Getting ready for the Eagles-Giants preview. Giving you guys a breakdown of our loss, our horrendous loss against the Cardinals. Felt like a loss against the Giants the week before. And, just this absolute collapse, fall apart from this team. We're going to try to give you some positivity. But first, we're going to give you that awesome dose of negativity. We're bringing him back on the show, a legend on the podcast. The guy that had the blank and shit jersey, my man, Dennis. But before, let's hit that intro and give a big thank you to El Diablo for sponsoring this segment of Jack's Weekly Call-Ins. And Jack is sick this week. Poor baby's not feeling well. Get well, my guy.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is, but their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302 Birds sent you. God bless, go Birds.
Like I said, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Dennis, what's going on, man? Welcome back to the show. How we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, or all that and beyond. Hope you guys had a good one.
Me too. How about this team, though, man?
So I've got 2 points of toxicity that's probably going to piss everybody off.
We love it.
But it's going to be fun. So this one's a good side. A.J. Brown's press conference today was perfect, even though it sounded really, really scripted. Brian Johnson can bask in his glory because I heard NCAA's coming out with a Legend Edition, and they can put him back on the cover, and he can get all of his plays from a college football game again and think that he's decent. But here we go. This is what's going to make everybody mad. Sidney Brown is 78 yards better than Reed Blankenship. It took him one play to solidify he is better than Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship, excuse me, didn't even make the Pro Bowl, didn't even make an alternate, nothing, nada, zilch, bust, clown. So my question to you guys is, what's Reed going to do when he's got to go one-on-one with the great one, Sidney Brown, for his job next year, and Sidney Brown takes it? Just saying.
Well, here's what I think. I think Reed Blankenship's going to be sitting right next to him on the backfield. Kevin Byard's terrible. You're not even mentioning him. Kevin Byard is the worst safety I think I've seen on this team in a very long time.
TJ Gardner-Johnson's coming back. I'm calling it.
I just don't agree. But also it's Reed Blankenship has had, this is his second year playing. He was an undrafted. Wasn't he undrafted last year?
Yep.
He started 3 games last year, I think, maybe not even that. He comes in this year as, someone that we were expecting to be so much better than he was. And let's say, it's safe to say for more than half the season, Reed Blankenship played out of his ass. He's having a couple bad weeks, but he was solidifying that secondary. He was every week showing up, showing out, being a great safety for us. And I think it's fantastic that Sidney Brown's doing the same because Kevin Byard, let me tell you, I think he is awful. I just don't think that he is what we need. This defense is old, and for some reason, we traded for an old safety. It just doesn't make much sense.
And I'm with you. I agree. I'm with you. And I don't mean cut you off. I agree with you. The biggest thing that I'm seeing now that kills this team is, we've been built on, and like I said before, the last time I was here, we were built, like us fans. How old's everybody here? I just turned 32 last month. So is everybody in the same area? 24. Or am I the old guy?
You're the old. You're certainly the old guy, but it's all right.
But I grew up on the Jim Johnson defense, so it's we hold the defense to a fucking standard. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm picky, and this is the biggest thing that I came back. Like when I came over here with y'all and said the stuff about blank and shit last time, it's not that I don't like this kid. I do. But again, and I'm going to sound like Troy Vincent, and God bless me, don't strike me with lightning. He leads with his head to tackle people, and it's not safe. It's basic peewee tackle skills. Like you learned this when you were young. Like if you don't stop trying to be Brian Dawkins, which you're not, you're going to end your career early, and you're going to be a bust. That is why I don't like him. If he learns how to wrap up and tackle and not lead with his head like he's been doing, I will hop on the bandwagon to this kid and let him ride. But until he learns to do that, I can't support him.
Okay, so I agree in the sense that he's not tackling right, but I don't think there's anyone on this defense is tackling right.
No.
I mean, Sidney Brown against the Giants, let me tell you, he had like 6-7 missed tackles. It was awful.
He only had 1 tackle, but he had 6 against the Seahawks. But it's like everybody came on our show and they're like, oh, it's all Sidney's fault. He blew. No, Sidney Brown's not the one that blew the last drive, so you can't put it on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're directing heat to anyone, it should be Bradbury. Bradbury needs to go. He needs to go.
So what's your opinion on Avonte Maddox?
Avonte Maddox, it was his first game back since the second game.
And he's re-injured again.
There's rust. I mean,
I think he's practicing though. I don't think he's a limited participant. I think he was full participant.
But do you think he's worth the money that he's being paid?
Absolutely not. No,
I think he's just too injury prone.
That was my biggest question that I wanted to ask you guys, because of course we'll have our show tomorrow, but I wanted to get y'all's opinion because just like Dalton, I'll tell you guys the same thing. I appreciate what you guys do, and I take a lot of stuff that you guys say and I try to bring it over there to give them your guys' input. You know what I mean? But how many years have we had in Maddox now? 4, 5?
Around, yeah.
And has he ever played a complete season and done anything?
No. I think what we hold on to though as a fan base is the fact that when he is healthy, he is the best at what he does. And
for what, 2 games?
Honestly, here's the thing: if he's fully healthy for the playoffs, I'm like, let's take him. You know, let's put him in there because he's like that defense is different when he's healthy. Again, he's not.
But then you look at it, we activate Rashad Penny and don't put Roby in, and look what happens: we get torched.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the defense is the problem. No, the offense is also the problem. We'll get into that later too. But like, this defense is the regression that we've seen from last year to this year is extremely alarming.
Not only from last year to this year, like we were a completely better team last year, but what happened to this defense, guys, that held the Miami Dolphins to 17 points?
I was there.
It's crazy. And a lot of people are saying, right, this defense is fatigued. I mean, Jordan Davis looks absolutely fatigued. He got called out for being out of shape and everything, but
Baldy ripped him.
Like, this is you're professionals. This is your job to, get in shape in the off season, stay in shape during the season, because, especially when you're on the Eagles and you made that Super Bowl run last year, you have to be ready, for a long season. Like our plan is to go way more than 17 games. And truly, like, our defense looks gassed right now. And, the transition from Sean Desai to pencil in his ear, Patricia, it really hasn't done much. And I mean, at the end of the day, say what you want and everything about them being tired and they just need to get right, but I still think this defense, it's not good enough, and that comes down to Howie Roseman's all season.
Talking about Patricia, though, I think the switch was too late for the team to readjust into Patricia's style. Yeah. That's just my opinion. It should have happened way earlier in the season. They shouldn't have waited until the last freaking minute. We've been calling for Desai's head since the Jets game almost, because he wasn't showing no signs of life. And then just like you were saying, Byard's not done nothing for us. And Justin Evans is sitting there on IR and ain't done nothing either. There's a reason why these people aren't on other teams. There's a reason why Nicholas Morrow got let go from the Chicago Bears. But yet for some stupid freaking reason, we bring him in. I'm not mad at Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq's been playing well.
I give Shaq an extension. Give him another year, a full year with the team.
Yeah, year.
Just to get and I'm going to explain why. And Dalt, I'd love to hear your side on this when I say this because you know me, I'm strict on defense. It's a year for Nakobe to learn from somebody that has the capability to still be a starter and to become that person that we need. Now, the big thing that I noticed that nobody else had seen, somebody had put out a mock draft, somebody from ESPN. They have the Eagles drafting Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in round 1 and trading up.
I would love that.
Yeah, is he a linebacker as well?
But what they're saying is they have Howie swapping ones with whatever team they do it with, swapping ones, giving up I think a 4th and a player, and the only player that I could think that he would try to offload if they'll take him is Bradbury or Maddox.
I would love that, dude. The Trotter theory. But like, when was the last time that this team valued linebacker? You know what I mean?
Right. That's just a mock trade of what people think we should do. Howie Roseman values.
Where was he projected, though, Dennis? Just curious.
They're projecting him anywhere between 10 and 20.
Okay.
Because all these people from Michigan and everything else have moved up because of the college ranks and stuff. So, I mean, it's one of them things that we're going to have to really pay close attention to. Again, I'm not saying that it's true, it's going to happen, but it is popped up on 2 mock drafts that they see Philly trading up. And, I mean, Decker, I'm sure you've been a long-time Eagles fan, right?
Yep.
You remember the days of Trotter.
Yep.
And if this kid, if you somehow find this kid's highlight tape from Clemson, or where I think he goes to Clemson, I can't remember.
Yeah,
if you find his highlight tape, you're gonna be sick. The kid is an animal. He's got speed like a safety. He plugs a gap like his dad did. He's everything that Omar Gaither wasn't.
Another junior.
I have one more question for you on your way out of here too, Dennis. How do you think, like, as a fan, I know we always talk about it, but as a final question for you on your way out, like, how do you think as a fan would drafting a linebacker be for this team? Like, investing in that position, like a cornerstone linebacker, how valuable would that be for this defense? And how much do you think that would help us down the line in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, let's think about it like this. If you look at the 2023 draft now, we technically drafted a linebacker in the first round with Nolan Smith because technically that's what he does, but he gets listed as a defensive end. So technically it's not much of a change because we've seen that it can be done. This team needs to build linebackers and stop trying to be a quarterback. What they call us, there's something about a quarterback.
QB factory is what they called us?
Yeah, stop being a QB factory. We have to stop doing that. They have to start doing that on the defensive side of the ball because now you're about to lose Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. If you're not careful, Josh Sweat will be out of here. We don't have nobody there. Yes, Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith show signs of life, but Nolan Smith is a long way away, and he's taken a lot of regression this season. And I'll close it with that. You guys know where you can find me, Countrywide Eagles Podcast. God bless every single one of y'all. Stay blessed. Stay beautiful. Keep doing what you're doing. We love you. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. Thank
Go
you.
Birds.
Have a good one. And we'll see you soon. Love that, man.
One quick point. He made Jeremiah Trotter Jr. That would be awesome. One legend I've really one son of a legend I really wanted was Asante Samuel Jr. in the draft.
Oh, my God. That would have been another good
I know.
Just waiting for it to happen.
And these are 2 positions. Howie fucking Roseman, you need to invest in this offseason. Cornerback and a linebacker.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way that the NFL is changing, is sort of moving towards a corner. But hey, what's going on tonight? The man, the myth, the legend, Fitzy. How are you, sir?
What's up, guys? How we living?
What'd you bring for us tonight, Big Sexy? How are you?
Oh, my guy is in the house.
Oh, wait, and before you get started, real quick, before I forget, 10 Toes Down Tommy is sick tonight, but he did say to holla at you and say what's up, and he hopes all is well.
Hey, man, we be down sometime. We be back up. Tommy, you get better, brother. But my question to you guys, right? Out of the many problems that we got with the Birds,
many.
What's the biggest?
Personally, I'll go coaching. That's my answer right now. How about you? Honestly, man, I kind of blame. I'd probably say I don't know. It's tough what side to blame more. I mean, the offense is atrocious, and it also I do like Sirianni stepping up for his boy. That a lot of Philadelphia fans do not like Brian Johnson right now, and Sirianni's taking the criticism, saying that at the end of the day, I'm the head coach. This should be my problem. But I mean, nothing has fucking changed. Like, Brian Johnson should have gotten fired 9 weeks ago. And at the end of the day, man, we saw Sirianni. We saw Sirianni call play at his rookie year, and it was atrocious. We were like 2-5, and then our defense is atrocious. Matt, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think since week 1, we have always said Brian Johnson sucks at his fucking job. I think we've said that every single week. There has not been 1 week where we're like, he called a great offensive game. There's always been like, what the fuck are you doing on 3rd and 16 doing a bubble screen? Like, why are we doing this? And we got an explanation this week. Oh, you know what? It was 3rd and 16. We thought we were going to catch him off guard, so we went for a bubble screen. Like, bro, what?
Bro,
and like,
run that damn bubble screen 5 to 6 times every goddamn week. Every goddamn week.
It's awful.
Everybody see it.
It's really driving me up a wall. I think all year, I mean, well, not all year, because weeks 1 through 9, our defense was one of the best in the NFLs. I don't know what has changed. I really don't. What's changed from week 9 to where we are now. But we suck on defense right now. But I think what the most frustrating thing is our offense. And, I would say 2-3 weeks ago, I was like, Sirianni should be starting to take some heat for this. And AJ Brown's press conference today made me have all the confidence in the world for Nick Sirianni, because they came out today basically saying, and I'm sure that this will be, a topic later on in our show, but just to touch on it, AJ Brown comes out today saying, you know what, like, he stuck up for us. Like, what we're doing in the games is completely on us. It's not them. The coaching is not the problem. Like, we are the problem. People are not running their routes correctly.
You said it earlier. 3rd and 16. It never worked. I challenge you to show me one game where that bubble screen worked. Never, ever, ever. It never worked. I'm so sick of seeing Brian Johnson in there. My hot take is we got to get Deuce back, man. We got to call our boy. Like yesterday, we got to call Deuce back, man. Like Brian Johnson, like I know that's Jeremy's man, and that's probably the only reason why he's still there. When you go back to AJ Brown interview, you said it 100%. That thing was all scripted. It's horrible, man.
I don't know how much it's scripted, because I do think that he is looking out for the team, not necessarily himself. I do think that he is someone that wants the best for the team. I don't think that he's going out there just saying gibberish. I think he's speaking from his heart. And like, when you look at it, the routes that these people are running, yes, the play calling sucks. They're terrible.
We don't never run a slant. We never run a slant.
They don't run slants.
On the ball.
What I'm saying is, like, there are a lot of plays where the routes are sloppy. It's just sloppy running by the wide receivers. They're not like, I don't see the aggression. I don't see the oomph to be like, let's fucking win this game.
That's because every play is a 9 pattern straight up the field. My man got his play calling out of Techno Bowl. All my old heads said no Techno Bowl. No, that motherfucker only got 3 plays. That's it. Run deep, bubble screen. That's it.
I will say, whoever was calling plays for Bama on, what was that, Tuesday night?
Yeah,
they were definitely taking a page out of Brian Johnson's book. My golly, was that terrible.
And that last play definitely is something Brian Johnson would
looked like an Olympic diver. I'm like, what are you doing? Play football.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm playing devil's advocate in the sense that, like, I think the play calling has been historically bad. It's bad. Like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. But I also think that there has been a regression by Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's playing as well as he did last year. I think, a lot of his QB draws that he's doing, it's his option. And he's just taking the ball and he's losing 6 yards every time he does
but let me question you this. When Mike Vick was doing it and was winning the game, it was on Mike Vick. When Jalen Hurts does it, we're 3rd and 20. We're 1st and 20. We do a QB draw. 2nd and 20. 2nd and 16, QB draw. 3rd and 16, we do a bubble screen. Jalen can only work with what he's given, man. It's the play calling. The play calling is horrible. You know why it worked so well last year? It's because we ran the ball, man. I've been calling for this. You can check the tape. I've been calling for this since the Minnesota game. Brian Johnson is absolutely horrible. He's like white juice, man.
He's terrible. But I also think a lot of these RPOs, these run pass options or even these QB draws, it's a lot of it has to do with if Jalen sees that he has a better opportunity with the ball than DeAndre Swift.
Would you see it be a better opportunity if everybody go deep every play? And that's what it is. Everybody just run deep. In that situation with Arizona, right? All you had to do was run a 5-yard slant. It could be a quick 2-yard slant. We never do that.
They don't.
AJ is a beast. He's not dropping the ball for once. And 2, he's hard to bring to the ground. You hit him with a quick 2-yard slant. That's what? 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. We never run the slant.
Yeah, they don't even do curls. They're the best.
Smith lead blocking on a bubble screen.
Yeah, they're one of the best teams in the NFL with those curl routes, and they never do those either.
Never.
It's bad. It's like I was saying, it's historic. Like the play calling is bad.
Julio Jones carried our offense last week, and he's fucking 40. So
he should have been the 3rd guy. But then again, it was a month before we even saw Dallas Goedert.
No, trust me. We see Julio on those little bubble screens that do absolutely nothing. So
that's because Devontae the lead blocker. And I love skinny Batman, but he's 165 pounds.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just this daggone Brian Johnson. He frustrates the hell out of me, man.
Tickle my fancy, man. Brian Johnson
I'm not doing that.
Brian Johnson gets fired this week, right after the Giants game. We go to the playoffs. Do you think this team is better off without him?
Yes.
Is Sirianni calling the plays, or do we get a new offensive coordinator?
It's a great question.
For a new offensive coordinator, like you're going Nick Sirianni.
For the playoffs.
Deuce ain't leaving, though. That's the thing. Deuce ain't leaving. I don't think he's gonna leave Detroit. They got a good thing going. Bro,
Deuce got fired. He was on the
Carolina, man. He got fired.
So he's hanging right now. He's chilling. Okay.
Look, I want just somebody that can run a fucking NFL offense. Look at the Ravens. Like they went after I think his name's Todd Monken, right? The Georgia offensive coordinator. Man, look at the fucking Ravens this year. I know it's risky hiring from college, but man, you like Chip Kelly and Urban Meyer definitely didn't pan out. But man, like the Bills,
Chip Kelly panned out. He did not have a bad season. He really didn't. If you look at his record, he was like 10-6, and then what, like 9-7?
Stuff, man. Don't start with the record stuff.
He made the playoffs.
I think it was like 4-12 the one year that his last year here, it was bad.
Yeah, it was the year that he took over GM. That should have never happened. But him as a head
awful. It was him and Howie were the yin and the yang.
Yeah. Him as a head coach, though, he technically had a successful career as an Eagles head coach.
I wonder if that was until he figured it out too.
You can rip me the shreds for that, but I do think he had a successful career as a Eagles head coach.
Okay, well, my point was Brian Johnson, he was just a quarterback coach. I want somebody that has fucking experience calling plays, man. That's who I want. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure we'll talk about it. There's a lot of talk. People were saying Sirianni, there's a chance he could get fired. While I think we would run it back with him next year. I want to see Sirianni. I think Sirianni's still a solid coach at the end of the day. Not nearly as high as I had him, beginning of the year and last year. But I would love to see, a fucking real offensive coordinator with him.
Yep.
Fitz, thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining, man.
No doubt, man. Hey, Jack, man, you need to get back to eating them chickens, man, and putting people through tables, man.
Where can we find you, Fitz?
Hey, man, you can holler at me on the Bird Gang page, man. I'm on Facebook. Holler at me at the Bird Gang page, baby. Hit me with the.
Much appreciated. Thank you, man. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.
Yes, man. I'll see all y'all later.
Thank you,
Take
Fitz.
care. Legend.
Guys, talking
302 Birds legend. Tailgates with us, comes on the podcast. You don't get many of them where you get a double whammy, so we love that. Kicking it off though with the Sixers tonight. They've been fun to watch. I know we've all been talking about it lately. Matt was talking pre-podcast about how he's going to change a little bit of his betting ways to just start doing singles and going with a lock pretty much every night. 15 consecutive games now for our guy Joel Embiid with 30-plus points. How you feeling about that, Matt?
It's insane, dude. I mean, like, this team compared to last year, and I know that we've touched on it, podcast after podcast, but this is something different. And I was talking to a friend about it today, and I was like, you buying into it yet? He's like, I'm never buying into the Sixers. I was like, bro, you got to, like, buy into it. Like, this is different. Like, when Embiid's not playing, they're still winning games. They're still winning games that they probably shouldn't be winning. But Maxi's coming through. Oubre's coming through. Harris is even stepping up. I mean, this team, Nick Nurse is turning the team into a juggernaut in the NBA. Like, I'd go against any team in the NBA right now, and I'm picking the Sixers. I'm so confident in this team right now because right now, everyone around Embiid's playing well, and you're having Embiid play well. I don't think Embiid's played a fourth quarter in the past month. I really don't. I think that he is sitting every single fourth quarter that he's like that they're playing in. I mean, fact check me on that. It's probably wrong, but like what it seems like whenever I'm watching is he's not playing the fourth quarter because they are blowing teams out of the water. Everyone's stepping up. He is just dominating on all aspects of the game. His field goal percentage is up. His rebounds are up. His assists are up. His points per game are up. Like he is just destroying the NBA right now. And I think Pat Bev said on his podcast today, he was like, this is going to be, if he continues this throughout the season, this will be the single-handedly best season an NBA player has ever had in the NBA history. And I'm like, that's our fucking guy. And if we can get him healthy in the playoffs, I mean, goddamn, what's going to happen? Because like I am so on the Sixers hype train right now. Like I'm fired up. Like every Sixers game, I'm like, I need to watch because like they have me hooked. We're down, but they bring us back. They always do.
But isn't that terrifying? Because every stinking year we have the same conversation.
No, not every this is Nick Nurse, guys. I think legitimately, right now Nick Nurse is the best out of the major four coaches in Philadelphia right now. He's completely turned this team around. Everybody seems to be bought in. Embiid's dominating, man. Nick Nurse gets the best out of Embiid and, the best out of the rest of the players. I mean, pretty much everybody has progressed, I would say, except, Tobias Harris has had a rough stretch, but look at the leap Maxey took from just from last season to this season. Maxey's in the All-Star category talk, and like Matt said, Embiid missed a couple games, and we're winning these games. Like like a week ago, Sixers had to play at Houston. Houston's solid this year, and Maxey dropped, I believe, 41 on the road, and this team's awesome, and I can't wait, going into the trade deadline after that Harden trade, we have assets now, and we have cap space in the offseason. So my guess, we got about a month away. I really think, we're going to go into the trade deadline. If, the right players available, we're going to go all in with our chips because I think there's a very good chance we could win the East.
I don't want to trade. Like I love what I love right. Like yes, I think if we are trading, we don't want another starter. I think we want bench.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the Marcus Morris level because he's making $17 million on an expiring contract. I'm not saying like change the entire chemistry, but I'm saying kind of smaller moves like that.
Yeah,
but Morris has been playing solid though, but he's. Yeah. That $17 million contract's definitely attractive if we package it with a pick or two.
No, definitely. And like I love, so earlier in the season, I was saying, Kelly Oubre, partnered with Embiid and Maxey, like was a great starting lineup. And it is a great starting lineup. But I fucking love Batum in the starting five and then having Kelly Oubre come off the bench. I mean, it is like, it's a bona fide 20-point player off the bench. I mean, that's what he's supplying us. And being able to spread out our points with Embiid, Maxey, Batum's putting up 10 points a game. Harris is, guaranteed a 15. And then what is it? Melton? I think Melton's our
Yes.
other fifth. I mean, he's putting up 10, 12 a game. And then you have Kelly Oubre coming in the second line with 20 points a game. I mean, that's just like, no matter what line we have in, there's points being scored. And that's what makes this team so freaking dangerous. And we've never had this before. And Nick Nurse knows how to spread that out with all of our players. It's like we haven't had that before. Doc was so, uptight about like our starters are getting it, Embiid's getting it, Harden needs to play make, blah, blah, blah. But this team is just like, we're having fun. Like it's just like we're having fun. And then you have like Pat Bev. Like I never thought I would be like this in love with Pat Bev, but I fucking love him. He's great.
Because a huge knock on the Embiid era, right? Once Embiid, everybody knows this, especially in playoff time. Don't get me started. But once Embiid got off the floor, man, we're blowing that fucking lead, historically in the Embiid era. But like you said, now it's great that we spread out the points, and you can while B-Ball Paul or Mo Bamba's in, you can have Kelly Oubre out there, somebody to get buckets, somebody to go to, because like. I'm sure, like, for past couple of years, Shake Milton's, like, one of our league guys off the bench. Like, I love you, Shake, but, yeah, Shake really wasn't that good at the end of the day. He had his moments, but, it's great. It's great to have a lot of depth out there, Depth has definitely been a huge thing that has hurt the Sixers in the past. Once Embiid got hurt, and relying on your backup centers, but this Harden trade really worked out well. Not only did we got rid of all that drama, but we got 3 solid wings at the end of the day, and Nick Nurse gets the most out of his wings. Like you saw that in Toronto with OG, Siakam, Kawhi. I really think possibly in the offseason too, getting a athletic forward or wing too would be great with our cap space to complement Maxey and Embiid.
Yeah, I think the one stat that I want to finish on with Embiid is his minutes per game is down this year because of those fourth quarters being able to be sat out in, and all of his stats are up, which is just nuts to me. He is putting together an MVP season right now, only playing 3 quarters a game, which is just absolute nuts. It's crazy. And like it's so funny because everyone in the NBA is foul shots. He is taking 30 field goals a game, scoring 15 of them. And then he's going to the line another 10, 15 times. Like, it's not like he's just going to the line like he was last year and the year before. This year, he is the definition of dominant. Yeah, I've never, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm so high on the Sixers right now. Like, Maxey, like, we actually have a draft pick that, like, works out. When was the last time that happened?
Very true. Never.
And we're blowing out these teams too, which is, different from the other Sixers, man. We never fucking blew out teams on a consistent basis, but this team's legit.
No, definitely. And like last year with Doc, the teams that we should have blown out were close games. This year, we're playing the Pistons, we're playing the Wizards, we're playing God, whatever team with the freaking Charlotte Hornets, whoever we're playing. And they are destroying them.
Yep. And the Bulls, I know they didn't have Vucevic and they haven't had Levine, but they're not a bad team. They've been playing good without Levine, actually. And to blow them out, dude, we were up fucking 30 at halftime. Like, that is unreal. Like, I had to double check the box score. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, when do you see that? Like, that is so rare in the NBA, and especially with the Sixers, And as the season progresses, our chemistry is only going to grow together. And I love this team. Pat Bev says, this team, like on his podcast, this team loves going to work every day. Like, they got each other's back. And like, you know, in the previous era, like, you know, Simmons and Embiid really didn't get along. They were, you know, just kind of co-workers at the end of the day. And like this team loves each other. They love going to work. Like their practices are intense, you know, starters going up against the bench and like it, and yeah, the bench putting up fights, man. I just love it. You know, Sixers are giving us a lot to look forward to. And, you know, I really think this is the year at minimum we get to the conference finals, especially with Nick Nurse.
Going to a team that is not as dominant. How are we feeling about this last week?
Pain. A lot of it. I mean, how the fuck do you lose to this Muppet-looking motherfucker at home? I know that for this loss, all jokes aside, it hurt for nobody more than Nick Sirianni. This is going to keep him up at night. This is like the fucking student beating the teacher. Because obviously, you know, he used to be our defensive coordinator last year. And this was just an ugly, ugly loss by the Eagles. And it felt like we fell flat on our face. I mean, there's nobody to blame but themselves. I think A.J. Brown handled it today. But this loss hurt the Eagles in so many different ways. Like, not even just, like, as far as, like, record-wise, losing the first seeding. Like, this mentally, like, crushed the team. You know what I mean? Like, this took the wind out of the sails. Like, when you see these players, when you just hear them talk, I mean, it sucks right now. A 35-31 master collapse by this team. The last time that this team had a collapse that bad, 1994. I'm going to probably mispronounce this, but Rich Kotits. Anyway, the Eagles start out in 1994 7-2, and then they finish the year at 7-9. Yeah. So this year we start out 10-1. We pretty much have the 1 seed in the bag. We beat teams like Buffalo, Miami, Dallas. In the beginning, it pretty much seems like even, you know, we beat the Rams. The Rams are even proven to be legit. And, you know, then after that 42-19 loss, once again, that's just one of those losses, took the wind out of our sails. So I really don't know where the Eagles go from here. I mean, what I will say is this as a fan, there's no point in giving up now. Like you see all these stats coming out. People are trying to keep people hope. The 2012 Ravens, you know, they had an OT and then like a loss, and then like all this, whatever. The point being is you're still in the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. As Adrian from Rocky said, just win. That's my mood right now for this team. Figure it out later, but it's bad. It's really bad. I'm sorry to rant, but I mean, I see the look on your face too. What are you thinking, Ash?
It was terrible. So I go back to when the schedule originally first came out. We were anxious about the gauntlet, but we all said, thank God we end with New York, Arizona, and New York. And where the heck did we wind up? I was a little nervous for this game simply because Jonathan Gannon does know this team very well. I was worried that he was going to expose any sort of hole that we had, and oh boy, did he. I don't understand how we go from winning 21-6 to blowing it. That is what concerned me more than anything else, was the fact that it just seemed like everybody gave up. It was a terrible game to watch as a fan. And I mean, I'm grateful. I know many of you guys were at the game. I'm super grateful that I was not at the game and I could have my own little moment to be angry without being around other Eagles fans. But it didn't just take the number 1 seed. It took a lot more from us. And I think it took a lot of the faith and hope that not only the fans have, but those players themselves. So I am very curious and anxious to see how this week is going to go. And everybody, I think, just needs to make sure that their expectations are realistic moving into the rest of the season.
I think realistic is a good word. Matt, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling?
Mood.
It was a roller coaster of emotions, man. I mean, that first half going up, like Ash said, 21-6. Like, God damn, we're back. You know, like we're running the ball. Jalen Hurts is looking good. Julio Jones has, he's going off. He's having a career game with the Birds. Like, I mean, not a career game, of course, but like for the Birds, it was. But, it was just like, this is the game that I was expecting against the Cardinals. And then they come out in the second half and they just looked like they were playing peewee football again. It was just like there was a switch that happened. The defense just stopped caring about doing anything. It was just like what happened was the defense the Cardinals just walked all over them. They weren't stopping the run. They weren't stopping the pass. Kyler Murray was just carving us up. We couldn't sack him for dog shit. It was like everyone was putting their hands on Kyler Murray, but we couldn't bring him down. We just couldn't. And that is what is the difference from this defense from last year's defense. Last year, they could finish those plays. This year, they can't. And I don't know why, but it is a big problem because giving these quarterbacks this amount of time is destroying our secondary. And I think what was happening last year was our secondary was just as good as it is now. But the reason that they were so much better last year is because the quarterbacks had 2 seconds in the pocket. And we're getting exposed. Down from 70 sacks last year to we're up 41 right now. Like, it's bad. And that's not defensive scheme. That's our skill players getting to the quarterback, and they're not doing it. So as much as we want to blame Desai, and I know a lot of you guys were sucking Desai off at the beginning of the season. Desai is great, so much better than Gannon, blah, blah, blah. Right now, this is not Desai's fault. I think that his play calling should be better. It should be. There's a lot of plays where what the hell's happening here? Why are we playing 17 yards off a wide receiver when there's 8 yards to go to the first down? But what's happening is our players are not getting to the quarterback. And it's clear it's not Desai. It's also Patricia. We've switched up play calling duties and it's not working. Right now, I really think the problem is our skill players are down in the dumps. And they're just being exposed because, I mean, that's all. I could go on a rant for 35, 40 minutes on this, but I just really think that, yes, play calling on defense is a problem, but I think our skill players being old is probably a bigger problem. Now, offense, that's a play calling problem. That is most certainly a play calling problem. Johnson needs to go. And I think that, if nothing changes going into the playoffs, then he is going to be out very, very quickly after the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, Matt, you said it perfectly, man. Oh man, I don't have a whole lot to say, man. We're 13.5-point favorites, man. This Arizona Cardinals team is not fucking good, man. At the end of the day, and we at the beginning of the year, right? We circled a couple games on the calendar. I'm sure the Eagles did too, right? You got the Chiefs, Cowboys, Niners, and then Jonathan Gannon's return. You know how much Sirianni probably wanted to beat this guy, and he got humbled by his old student, man. It's just horrible, and we had no answer for Kyler Murray in that second half. No. He just came down the field and he did, whatever the fuck he wanted. Our defensive line is gassed right now, and it's crazy because Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, dude, you guys are fucking 22 years old or 23 years old. You guys should be in better shape and not be so gassed right now. And now, we got the vets in there, Cox and Graham and everything. They've got a lot of mileage on that tank, so I'm sure they're gassed too. But oh man, the defensive line, it's just a complete 180 from last year to this year. Yeah, we had Hargrave in there too. I miss him so fucking much. I think he would definitely elevate this defensive line. But we're just we're not using Reddick too the proper way like we did last year too. It's just we're not getting the best out of our players right now on the defense, and it's just We really needed this win as a momentum changer. Now we have to talk. We lost the fucking 2 seed. We could have had 2 playoff games, but now we have to fucking talk about should we rest our starters next week, because the Cowboys are not losing to the Commanders.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ash.
No, it's just brutal. And I mean, I don't think we should be there were a couple of bright spots in that game. Most importantly, my man got a pick 6, and I was incredibly grateful for Sidney Brown providing some life to that game. And I think that was like the one thing that we can all look back on and be like, okay, at least he had a moment. But yeah, things need to change, and they need to change fast. But unfortunately, there's a few guys that may not be coming back and making their return. So could that have been the last game for several of that front four in Midnight Green? Hello.
I sure as shit hope not, because I'm tearing up over here at the thought of that. I mean, I was looking at one of our old stats today, Ash, and between everyone, I believe that they have a combined, after this season, they will have a 46 years of combined playing time if you take what I call the core four: Kelsey, Cox, Graham, and of course Lane as well. I don't think Lane is quite on his way out yet, but I definitely think Kelsey's definitely done after this year, as much as I hate to say.
Yep.
Graham and Cox, you're almost like, do you get one more year out of them? I think that you're not going to keep both. I think if you're lucky, it's like a wishbone. You know what I mean? It's like, which one are you going to keep? So I really hope, personally, it's Brandon Graham, just for more of the leadership aspect. I like what he brings to the table. No disrespect to Fletcher Cox. I think Graham is just more vocal. I think the team needs to do a better job of that. I really do. I think that the defense needs to do a better job of being more vocal as leaders, having more leadership amongst the players. That was one thing Malcolm Jenkins did a very good job of when he was here. And it does really elevate your defense to another level. And Decker alluded to it earlier. Some of the younger guys, Jordan Davis, I do think he's like a fun personality. And, Jalen Carter kind of just does his own thing, but he's played good football throughout the whole year, as a whole. So you're happy about that. But when you look at this defense, if these guys are leaving, you're almost like, shit, like who's like our X factor? You know what I mean? Like who's going to hype up the team? So I'm very, very nervous, particularly because even Kelsey, he's your X factor on offense, calling plays for Hurts. I'm very nervous.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about who's going to step up when all these people leave, and everyone's like, Hurts is a great leader. Hurts is a great leader, but like, I don't see it. And I can't speak for what he does in the locker room. I can't speak for what he's saying in the huddle or on the sideline, but like when the camera's shining on him, he's just sitting there stone cold. And like when you're looking at AJ Brown, when you're looking at Jason Kelsey, when you're looking at all these players, they're on the sideline hyping their players up. Like, come on, let's go. Let's get into it. And like Jalen Hurts is sitting there just like, just like staring at the grass, watching it grow. And like, is that a leader that's going to take this team and run with it? I don't know. And like last year, I would say it because last year it worked. This year, his way of leading is not working. It seems like this whole team is fractured. And outside of Jalen Hurts, who is going to be that leader? Wide receivers, I don't really see wide receivers as leaders of a team. On defense, I mean, you're losing those staples on defense. So it's like I don't know who's going to step up, and I really wish it was going to be Jalen, just because like he is your leader, but like I just don't see it. The players have no complaints of him. But clearly there was reports out last week saying he needs to speak up in the locker room. He needs to speak up on the sideline. So clearly, his way of leadership is not working for the team. I don't know. Losing those veterans I think it's going to hurt this team a lot more than, we're letting on to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree too. I think what you said is right. Like the leadership isn't there. Like I love Jalen to death, but he's, I felt personally, the only time I really saw Jalen speak up was when we were in the playoffs last year. Regular season, he kind of just does his thing. And Tom Brady's a guy, and Patrick Mahomes too, that both get a lot of hate for, being as angry as they are on the sideline. But almost, winners get angry. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. I don't mean take it out like AB, take off your shirt and leave the field. I just mean winners care, and sometimes I'd like to see a little bit more passion out of Jalen Hurts. That's why so much of my love for A.J. Brown exists, because it's like I almost don't get mad at him for caring that much. I wish that he wasn't so hard-headed sometimes, is what I would say. But I almost don't get mad at him for what he does, just because of the way he puts it, which is actually a nice bridge into our next topic, which is
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dordan, the mayor of Delaware.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I am Jay Dordan, your host, handsome as ever, chilling. No, I'm kidding. Jack is sick tonight, like I said, so I'm filling in for him. I already got the question wrong, and I knew it. That's the problem. I typed too soon, and I knew the answer. So think about it, guys. All right, think about it. And this is going to be the first time somebody doesn't fuck up the trivia. Remember that, Jack. Who did the Eagles lose to in the 2008 NFC Championship Conference playoff game? A, the Vikings, B, the Cardinals, C, the Giants, or D, the Cowboys? Once again, who did the Eagles lose to in the 2008 NFC Conference Championship playoff game? A, the Vikings, B, the Cardinals, C, the Giants, or D, the Cowboys? You guys can text me your answers individually, and I will let you know if you got it right. I do also have a score update for the people who want to see it. So right now, I won't pull it up on the screen, but I'll just read it to you. I'll bring it up later. We have the fans with 5, Matt with 6, Tommy with 8, who's sick like multiple weeks now. So Matt made some ground. Me with 6. I fucked up majorly. I could have made some ground this week. Josh with 3. He's been out working. Ashley with 6. Once again, another chance. Big Sean being sick gonna cost him, because he could have caught up with Ashley and Matt. He's at 5. And Decky himself, finally,
we're on the board
with a whopping 1 point after joining us last week. He joined later in the season, so we'll give him some props on that. But let us know your answers in the comments as well. Hopefully we'll get some fans with it right. But moving along to our next topic, speaking of A.J. Brown, you see a lot of these players getting upset. Has Nick Sirianni lost this locker room yet? It's a really good question to ask. I've been wondering myself, and I don't know if it's fair to say that. But personally, I do think that he's lost an aspect of this locker room. I don't think that the players are ever going to look at him the same way, because if you guys saw the way that he screamed at the players a couple weeks ago, players don't forget that. And the whole team saw that. Thanks to social media now, it's not like, 4 or 5 guys saw that. That freak out is like televised. Like, we saw that freak out. So I think Nick Sirianni's starting to realize that some of his emotion can backfire on him, which I'm glad that he's maturing and realizing as a coach. It's just like, buddy, right now ain't the time for growth. I love your whole flower speech. It'll grow, but you should have grown by now. So personally, I don't know. I think he lost the locker room. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can look at this full-on collapse that this system and this season, the last couple of weeks have been, and be able to look at those people in the same light. I know there are people that are doubting Jalen Hurts, and I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but the fact that the players are looking so unhappy on the sidelines during any part of the game, truly, and you're starting to hear these things come out that people are not happy there. When a year ago, think about where we were at this point in 2022 or 2023 at that point. It was all excitement, right? There was no negativity. And now you feel like you're hearing so much more negativity. And I don't know. I'm not sure that he's going to get the locker room back at this point. At least not this season.
I don't think he's lost it. Fitz was saying earlier, AJ Brown's press conference was, clearly scripted, whatever. But AJ Brown said the right things today. And one thing that I took away from that was everyone is blaming Nick Sirianni for how the Seahawks game ended. But what Nick Sirianni did was he stuck up for us because we improvised that play. And he was basically saying, this was my problem. Don't blame the players, blame me. And I wasn't out on Sirianni last week, but I was very much like, this is his problem. I think what's happening, though, is the players still have the utmost respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because these players are clearly going through something right now. They were 10-1 and now they're 11-5, or what is it, 11-6? I'm sorry, 11-5, 11. Yeah, I think it's 11-5. But Nick Sirianni is still taking as much blame as he needs to be taking. He's not saying, Jalen messed up on this pass, we should have had that game, or, AJ Brown's not running his routes crisp enough, or Devontae Smith isn't getting open, or Goddard's not blocking, anything like that. He's taking the blame for no matter what's happening on the field because he knows that it's his problem. And I don't think that players are going to look at that and be like, you don't have our backs. And I think that's what players want, is the coach to have their backs. Last week, I would have said, they're losing Sirianni, or Sirianni's losing them. But this week, I'm very much on the train of these players are with Sirianni if the sink ships or not, because Sirianni has led them to a Super Bowl. Sirianni has brought them back to 11-5, and here we are saying 11-5 sucks because we should have been better. But let's think about it. Any team in the NFC, if they were 11-5, we're like, hell yeah, they're 11-5. Let's go. We've had a bad stretch, but I don't think this bad stretch is enough for players to just be like, we're done with him. This has been 5 games, guys. We can't. I think it's too quick to be like, Sirianni needs to be gone. He's lost the locker room. No one respects him. I think this is way too quick to be bringing this up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy how in this fucking league, how fast stuff moves, right? I was the most cocky Eagles fan in the world when we were 10-1 and everything. And I thought deep down inside, I probably thought, even with the shitty play calling, that Sirianni was like a top 5, top 6 coach in the NFL. But I really don't think he lost the locker room, based off those points Matt said. AJ Brown, he said he respects the hell out of Sirianni, man, for, Sirianni's taking the fall at the end of the day for his players. He's got his players and he's got his coaches back. He's taking the fall for Brian Johnson. He's taking the fall for Sean Desai. So, I mean, yeah, Sirianni, he may not be perfect, his attitude and everything, like after that Chiefs win, yeah, Kansas City fans and everything, but, his players love him at the end of the day, and, all they want to do is win. So, I think regardless what happens of our outcome in the playoffs, I think Nick's back for at least one more year.
Truth. Yeah, I think you're right. Moving along to our next topic, which is it's been a defensive disaster. Decker, why don't you go ahead and take this one first, man? I mean, is the amount of rookies to blame? I've seen a lot of people on social media putting this on Howie Roseman, blaming him, saying that this is his fault. What do you think of that? Whose fault is this to blame for this defensive disaster class?
Yeah, I can't really go in and say, fuck Sean Desai, fuck Matt Patricia. At the end of the day, we saw that transition and that switch really hasn't worked out that great. At the end of the day, it's Howie. And it's his choices this offseason, and it's his choices from previous off seasons that we choose not to invest, right, in the linebacker positions, in the cornerback positions in the drafts, in the safety positions. Our bread and butter, right, is the Eagles defensive line. And When that's not fucking work, like everybody gave Howie praise this all season, right? Holy shit, we got Jalen Carter at 9. It's still probably gonna be a great pick at the end of the day. But when our fucking defensive line is not getting pressure to the quarterback, it exposes our holes in our defense. It exposes our cornerbacks. It exposes our linebackers because these, the quarterbacks have all the time in the world to look downfield and everything. And like Matt said, like last year, the main difference was the quarterbacks had 2 fucking seconds, right? Before Hargrave's coming at them, before Hassan Reddick is getting ready to sack. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to Howie. And we got a bunch of vets out there that are probably close towards the end of their playing days. And, I really wish we had like a young stud cornerback, a young linebacker, somebody like a Surtain. How nice would that be in our system right now? But yeah, it comes down to Howie's a wizard, right? Howie's a wizard with cap space and everything, but he certainly has his flaws. And this his defensive choices and free agency and the draft and everything has severely hurt this team this year.
I don't think anyone could have predicted the drop-off of Slay and Bradbury. Slay, before he got injured, let's be honest, he was playing a pretty good year. He had probably a couple of times he got burnt, but Bradbury has been a extremely steep drop-off.
Yes.
And I think one, diamond in the rough that we've seen is Keely Ringo's playing some pretty good football. Like looking at his stats over the past 2-3 games ever since Slay got injured, he really has not been playing poorly. And like it really excites me for what he's going to provide to us in the future. He came out of that draft as possibly one of the better corners coming out of that draft. And I'm excited to see what he has to offer. I mean, he's gone up against he's played against the Giants. He's played against was Slay playing against the Cowboys? I'm trying to think of the game. Like he's done a good job. Or maybe the Seahawks Ringo was playing. And he really locked down DK, and then DK went against Bradbury, and Bradbury just got torched. I mean, it's been nice to see a rookie cornerback actually step in and not destroy our defense. Right now, the veterans are destroying our defense. And yeah, I mean, as I was saying earlier, like you hinted at, Decker, I don't think it's Patricia. I don't think it's Desai. I think they have a play in it, but I think we're just, we're lacking talent at this point. And it's unfortunate to see, and I really hope that they can figure at least something out before the playoffs, because like we said, getting into the playoffs, that's the main goal. Let's get in. Anything can happen. We've hinted at, the Ravens 2012. They went on the exact same run that the Eagles are going on right now. 4 of their last 5 games of the season, they lost. And then they go into the playoffs and they make the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to make the Super Bowl, but anything can happen in the playoffs. And I really hope that the one thing that changes is this defense can turn around. Because letting up 200 yards a game rushing over the past 7 games is atrocious. That is just like, how do we go from a team letting up 70 to 90 yards a game rushing to 200 yards a game rushing? Something happened. I don't know who got injured. I don't know what changed, but they cannot stop shit on that defensive line. And that is what's killing us. The pass rush, the cornerback coverage, that's all okay. But my God, the run stop has been atrocious. And I think that's a big concern because they're running it down our throats. They're taking time off the clock. The Cardinals game, I mean, the Cardinals had almost 40 minutes of possession that entire game. That's bad. That's just bad. And, if we can't stop the run, then we're not going to make it anywhere in the playoffs. You're muted, Dolt.
Truth. All right, Decky. I want to get some money this week. I'm broke as shit. And I want to ask you something. It seems like you've been getting less ballsy with your parlays. Every week, I think it goes down by like $100.
Yeah, well, let me fucking hit one first, and then we can get crazier. Because last week we missed by 1 leg. But it's all right, guys. Let's go. And also, Dalt sent me a post. I'll keep you guys informed in the Discord. But a lot of player props this week, because a lot of players got week 18 incentives. So I'll definitely let you guys know. The problem is the player props aren't out Wednesdays, really. So we're kind of going straight bets and teasers tonight. All right, guys. First leg is Bucks money line. You know, they have to win this game after losing the Saints. They play the Panthers. I'm not worried about the Panthers, but you know, I would if you are a football fan and an Eagles fan, I would watch this game because this is who I think we're gonna play week 1 of the playoffs. Next one is Titans spread. You know, they don't really have much to play for. It's their last game at home. They get the Jaguars, but like I said, their last game at home. You know, Derrick Henry's last game as a Titan potentially. You know, Vrabel. I've heard some stuff about him on the hot seat. You know, they're going to come out and win this game or play the Jags close. They're plus 5.5. So I think there's a chance they could win this game. You know, Trevor Lawrence hasn't been playing great either. And then another fun game is the Bears-Packers. The Bears are plus 3, but I really think those two teams are pretty even. The Bears have already been eliminated from the playoffs, but, you know, they fucking hate the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has done some bad things to the Bears over the years, so the Bears want to do their best and try to knock the Packers out of the playoffs. And I actually think if the Packers win, they're in the playoffs, they can play the Cowgirls. So go Pack, go. Next one, I'm very excited for this game as a football fan. Texans Colts. It's pretty much a pick 'em. You know, you got them and the Jags pretty much all tied for the division, and you know, like 2 of these teams out of these 3 can make the playoffs. So I think the Texans can win outright. But I love giving CJ Stroud plus 7.5 points. And then this game, I'm so glad they made this Sunday Night Football. Man, I'm gonna have to sweat this game out. The Dolphins are fucking chokers, and I have a nice big future on the Dolphins to win the AFC East. And right now they're playing the Bills Sunday Night Football for the division, for the home playoff game, and the Dolphins are 3.5-point underdogs at home. And then the loser's gonna have to play the Kansas City Chiefs first round. So this game's got a lot of implications, and you know, these teams are gonna go at it. So I'm very excited. And then the last game it's called a game when you bet the under because you don't want to watch it because it's gonna be so fucking ugly. But it's gonna be the battle of Bill Belichick's last game versus who knows, Tim Boyle, Zach Wilson. Doesn't matter. That Jets offense sucks. Just take the under and watch the other fun games. So $100 would turn into 617, guys. Good luck. Bet responsibly, of course. I would definitely sprinkle that. I think that's
fucking Decker. You make me laugh every single time. You're like $100 will make 617. You're like, bet responsibly.
1,000 turns into 6K. I mean, that's one that could cover my tuition next semester. Just saying.
Hey-o. How are we feeling about some of this mediocrity in the NFL? This is something I kind of wanted to talk about. I didn't really have it on tap tonight for the podcast, but the more I thought about Tom Brady's comment and what he said, the more I really liked it and started to agree with it. I wanted to give you guys a player that didn't win MVP a couple years ago because I think Tom Brady makes a good point. The more I thought about it, the more I thought about how the Brady factor really exists. When Tom Brady was in the league, he held the league as a whole to a higher standard. I think that, of course, existed when players like Drew Brees and the Manning brothers and Phillip Rivers even were in the league. You had these guys that were just consistent players that would elevate their division, I think, and as a whole, it elevated the NFL to play better football. But when there's 3, sometimes 2 consistent, really not even consistent, there's only really been 1 consistent QB in the NFL, and he hasn't even been all that consistent in the beginning of the year, Lamar Jackson. He's right now the front runner for MVP. But if you took somebody like Matt Ryan in 2018 with 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a passer rating of 108.1, who I want to emphasize did not win MVP. There's no doubt if he took somebody like that and put him in the league this year with those stats, I think that he would win MVP. I really do. It's just felt like an off year And I do agree and think Tom Brady's point actually makes a lot of sense, that there is a lot of mediocrity in the NFL, and the Brady standard really was a thing. What do you guys think?
I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm not extremely familiar with historical stats, but from just my head watching the NFL 10 years ago compared to what it is now, the league that we're in now is much more pass heavy. It's much more big play. It's much more let's get these QBs the stats. Let's try to gas up their touchdowns. Let's try to gas up their yards per year. Let's try to, do all these things. 10 years ago, we didn't have mobile quarterbacks pretty much outside of Michael Vick, right? Everyone else was pocket quarterbacks. They're sitting there, they're doing their slants, they're doing their thing. I think mediocrity, or I think it's mediocrity. I'm not sure. But I think it very much depends on kind of the evolution of the NFL. I mean, it goes through waves, are we in a run heavy league, or are we in a pass heavy league, or mobile quarterback league? I think right now we're in a mobile quarterback league. I feel like every team has a quarterback, almost every team, that can run or can extend a play longer than the play should be running for. It's like they're able to scramble, they're able to run for the first down. Where 10 years ago, you had Peyton Manning who ran 2 miles an hour. You had Tom Brady who didn't do shit. Philip Rivers run. You had Eli Manning. You had, all of these. Matt Ryan didn't even run. It's like all of these quarterbacks that just were not extending plays. It was they're running the play that was called, and if they didn't see the open receiver, they threw it out of bounds.
Yeah.
And so I think we're in a different era of the league where the stats that we're seeing now can't compare to the stats that we were seeing 10 years ago, because it's a different game. I think that's kind of the mindset that I'm reading, at. I wouldn't call it mediocrity or however you labeled it, but I definitely think that it's just a different league.
Yeah, real quick, one other point Tom Brady made on that. I remember he made a great point about the fucking refs. They're not letting, the refs are interfering so many crucial moments in these football games, and it's horrible. Like, you saw that fucking Lions Cowboys games, my Detroit Lions, my Dan Campbell, he got robbed. Decker reported. My uncle reported. But yeah, not only just that stupid ass play, but I'm saying, like, with the pass interference, they fucking throw every third down, they're looking to throw the flag up, and it's just ruining the game. And it's truly I would hate to be, not only do I think being a cornerback would be like the hardest position on the football field, but you can't, like, you're getting taught nowadays, like, you can't touch the receiver. And it's just, like Matt said, it's a different game, compared to 10 years ago. And, the refs they're having a huge impact in this game. And another point Brady made was, like, roughing the quarter, like, they're being especially safe with the quarterback. But Brady's like, you're a football player. You got to learn how to protect yourself. You think, like, when I send a receiver up the middle and had him catch it, because Ray Lewis is there, I wouldn't throw it to him? No, he's still going to throw it to him. It's part of the game. You're going to get hit, especially if you're a wide receiver, tight end, catching a slant or a pass down the middle. You're going to get rocked by the linebackers. And, the refs are starting to get in the way with these hits and these pass interference and everything.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with everything that you guys have said. The refs, in my opinion, football's not played the same way. You can't, there are people that say let them play, because literally you touch a receiver right now and you're getting flagged for PI. So I really don't think you can necessarily compare the two, just because it is a totally different football game than it was 10 years ago.
I think all you guys hit the nail on the head too. Like, it's a different league. but I do think that there's also a truth to what Brady says. So let us know what you guys think. I think that might be when I make the question of the week, if you think that there is mediocrity in the NFL. Moving along now to our final topic of the evening. But of course, before we do that, you guys always know we hit it home with
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dalton, the mayor of Delaware.
All right, like I said, Jackson's not here. He's sick. But you guys all submitted your answers for the trivia question this week. God, I'm taking a page out of Jack's book. Who did the Eagles lose to in the 2008 NFC Conference Championship playoff game? A, the Vikings, B, the Cardinals, C, the Giants, or D, the Cowboys? The answer is B, the Cardinals. So the Eagles beat the Vikings and then went along and lost, I believe, to the Cardinals. I'll never forget that babbling Deshaun Jackson catch. But here's the guys who got it right. Ashley got it right. The fans got it right. Decker got it right. And Matt got it right.
Let's
so the
go.
Fans now, I believe, let me do a quick score update for you guys.
Shocker, we beat the Vikings in the playoffs.
AP, dude, I think we beat Adrian Peterson when he was there, which is actually a pretty big deal.
Might have been a
The
rookie.
fans are up to 6 now. Oh, God, I'm tied with the fans. That's not good. Matt is up to 7 now, trailing Tommy by 1. Ashley is up to 7 now, trailing Tommy by 1. And Decker is at a whopping 2. But hey, that's a 50% increase or 100% increase than what he had last week. So big stats.
Well,
There's only one way from here.
wait, don't. You said you fucked up. What'd you put?
I thought it was so. My immediate thought was the Vikings in the playoffs, because I'll never forget. I was watching that game with my dad in the basement when the Eagles beat the Vikings, and we were like, "We're going to the NFC Championship. Like that's one game away from the Super Bowl." So I said the Vikings because I got excited because I love the question, and immediately when I texted him, I was like, "Shit, it was the Cardinals." Like you can literally see like 7:49, the F-bomb gets dropped right away. I'm an idiot. It was the Cardinals. So upsetting, but hey, truthful to you guys. So I'll keep it real. So I'll get it next week. But like I said, moving along to our final topic of the evening. It's the last game of the season. Who knows? Maybe I'll be there. I'm trying to be at least. Tickets are cheap as hell. And that's a real shocker with the way that this team has been playing. But the Eagles have a matchup against the Giants. Last year, we know the way that went. It was an ass whooping. The massacre at the Meadowlands. This year, I don't know what it's going to be honest with you. I have a feeling that it's either going to be a really close game and a Giants win, or it's going to be an ass whooping and the Eagles just somehow get their shit together and take out all of their frustration from the past few weeks on this team. I don't know that it's going to be that second one. I'm a little bit afraid, to be honest with you. But there's no reason why the Eagles shouldn't win this game. The Giants are dilapidated as a whole. I'll give them credit. They just kept up with the Rams. But they're going to be playing out of their mind this game. If you don't think that, I mean, it's not true. They want to spoil our season. So if they can, they will.
Yeah. The meteorologist is coming out in me. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. They're calling for a snowstorm Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're calling for maybe 5 to 12 inches in New York. So
Holy cow!
That should be fun.
Hammer the under.
But no, you hit the under, hammer the Swift over. Hammer the Swift over.
Oh, yeah.
2.0.
I'm telling you, you got it. You got to hammer the Swift over. They're going to run the ball a lot. I cannot imagine it's going to be Actually, don't hammer the Swift over.
Yeah, because it's
I really think what's going to happen is they're going to play the first half. They're going to go in the halftime. They're going to see the score of the Cowboys-Commanders game. And if the Cowboys are blowing the Commanders out, the starters aren't coming out. They're going to play their their bench
That's
in this
half.
Yeah. It sucks that we're in this position because if we just beat the fucking Cardinals last week, we win this game, we're second seed. And now we're going to be 5th. And, well, not going to be. I mean, the Commanders held their own against the 49ers last week. So who knows? But I am hopeful that we win this game. But again, if we lose, it doesn't really affect much. Because if the Cowboys win, then no matter what, we have the 5th seed. I just want to see improvement at this point. I don't need to see a win. You know, if they bench their starters after halftime and they end up losing the game, so be it. I want to see a first half offense and defense that dominates the Giants like we're known to be doing. You know, like I don't want to see this bullshit. We're up by 3 points going into the half because our defense let up a 93-yard drive going into halftime. You know, like I don't want to see that. I want to see them shut them down. I want to see the offense step on their throats. That's what I want to see because this is a team that deserves to be able to do that. And having that confidence going into the playoffs, that's all they need.
Yeah, I'm not too ecstatic on this matchup. You know, I've been saying, you know, I'm just waiting for this game where the Eagles, you know, put their throats on and kill them. But just like you're kind of looking forward. A main part of the season is you're like, you know, last year we killed the Giants. You know, last year we killed them. You know, this team's fucking completely different, and I think it's just gonna be like Matt said, that Cowboys Commanders game has a big implication. I definitely don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, you guys saw how the first Giants game went this year, and with this team specifically, you know, beating the teams twice, the Giants have nothing to play for except to fuck over our playoff chances more. Like they're going to want to win this game. And now they have another big part of this game too is right. Tommy Cutlett started a little portion of last game. Now they got Tyrod Taylor all game. So, I mean, I think the Eagles win this game though, but my point is, I just don't think it's going to be a pretty win at all. Just like last year's Giants wins.
Hopefully they figure out a way because I mean, we can't let the Cowboys win the NFC East. Who do the Cowboys play the final week? Does anybody know?
Fucking Commanders.
Oh, that's why we got to be Commanders fans.
And the Commanders have the 2nd overall pick right now, so I don't think they're going to be trying very hard. But at the same time, this can be, if you guys remember last year, the Texans had the 1st overall pick, and the head coach, Lovie Smith, pretty much knew he was going to get canned, so he won it. And Ron Rivera that's been the biggest storyline in sports since like week 3. Everybody knew he was getting canned. So that would be a great fuck you to Josh Harris, piece of shit, Sixers owner, if Ron Rivera won the game. Just kidding, Josh Harris. I love you. Our Sixers are looking great right now.
No, Decker. No, I like your way of thinking because, you know, if the Commanders say fuck you to Josh Harris, then all he has to think about is the Sixers. Let's go, baby. Let's go, yes. Sixers. Let's go, Sixers, man.
Yes, go Sixers.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to win it. I kind of agree. I am all for starting everybody in the first half and then resting those in the second, as long as the Cowboys are crushing the Commanders. I think it's the perfect scenario for the Commanders to win it. I would really prefer to not have the Cowboys win the division, but we will see. And I hate this season because last season, like the last 2 games, we were like basically able to just kick back and relax and watch football because everything was wrapped up. But this season, everything is still up in the air.
And it sucks because we're fucking gifting Dallas the 2 seed, and of course Dallas is only good at home, and they're gonna have 2 home fucking playoff games. Yeah. But it's all good if they run into my buddy Dan Campbell the 2nd round, things are gonna be different, and the refs can't get in the way. Oh man, I think how about that? If the Rams beat the Lions, I think the Rams could beat the Cowboys too. But never know.
We did not touch on this. This is going to be the quickest, detour ever. Carson Wentz starting this week.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Wait, the Rams aren't playing their starter? Oh, yeah.
They already have their seed locked in, I think.
Okay.
But Carson Wentz. Go Wentz. Hit the over on his yards. Hit the over on his yard.
I'm forgotten. Have the best game of.
I'm not going to lie. I have to hammer Wentz interception. It's his first game in how long? Seriously, he's going to be so rusty.
Yeah.
But also, Sean McVay could be like, just run the fucking ball. But it's the Niners' defensive line, though.
Well, this was
We'll see. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of 302 Birds. Be sure to join us next week when our poor baby, Jack Dordan, gets back to us, who usually does these honors. Josh, it's an outro, not an intro. Hit that outro.